This proposed map could decide which party controls the U.S. House of Representatives.
President Trump understands that his majority in the U.S. House is very narrow.
Just a very simple redrawing, we pick up 5 seats.
The Texas map is designed to give Republicans 5 more seats in Congress. Here's a breakdown of those districts that sparked a gerrymandering arms race.
We have got to meet fire with fire.
And how Democrat-controlled California plans to neutralize it.
This is a very rare case of mid-decade redistricting where the parties in power, specifically in this case the Texas Republicans, wants to redraw something that they already had a hand in making.
This is Matthew Klein, an analyst at the non-partisan Cook Political Report, which tracks elections and campaigns in the U.S.
Currently, there are 25 Republican seats. Democrats hold 12. One of those seats is also vacant. That is a seat that used to be held by a Democrat. So functionally, Democrats have 13 seats to Republicans' 25.
We have the authority, legally, under redistricting law, to draw districts that align with the voter preferences.
Republicans are taking this opportunity to try and draw themselves 5 new seats in Texas. And they're focused on specifically some of the cities, so Austin, Dallas, and Houston. And they're also taking aim at 2 seats in South Texas.
Zooming in on Houston, Democrats currently have 4 seats.
All 4 of those are majority-minority seats based in Houston's heavily diverse inner core. What Republicans had to do here is basically pack as many Democratic voters as they could into 3 seats and make those districts extremely Democratic so that there's an opportunity for a new district to be created elsewhere. The old version of the 9th district would have opted for Kamala Harris by about 44 points, whereas the new version of the 9th district would have gone for Donald Trump by about 15 points.
Actually, shortly after this interview, Republicans introduced a different proposed map that made this district even more in favor of Trump. Republicans are banking on gains that Trump made with Latino voters in 2024, particularly in South Texas.
So the 2 seats that Republicans are targeting in South Texas aren't guaranteed pickups. Republicans have taken the opportunity to make them a little bit more favorable, but if some of these Latino trends end up reverting to maybe the way that they used to vote or even the way that they voted in 2020, these seats might not become all that beneficial to the Republicans.
The Dallas-Fort Worth area currently has 3 Democratic seats. The proposed map splits up the Fort Worth district in Tarrant County.
It ends up gone. It's missing from the new version.
And packs Democrats into 2 districts in Dallas, which allows Republicans to create a solidly red district.
That swings from some of the northern Dallas suburbs out into rural East Texas, which is deeply conservative and would make this seat an almost certain Republican flip. One of the more ambitious aspects of Republicans' proposal is their effort to target one of the Democratic seats in Austin. This is a very fast-growing area. It's very Democratic.
The current map has 2 Democrats representing Austin, but the proposed map packs many of their voters into 1 seat.
It becomes a seat that would have opted for Kamala Harris by more than 50 points. So this is a whopping Democratic seat at this point.
The 35th district goes from solidly blue to a Trump plus 10 district.
It's not entirely implausible that Democrats could put this in play in a more competitive year, but it's also going to be a very, very tall task no matter what.
We are talking about emergency measures to respond to what's happening in Texas, and we will nullify what happens in Texas. We will pick up 5 seats with the consent of the people.
Texas's effort has provoked a Democratic response throughout the country, and there's no place where that's more apparent than in California. A lot of Republicans are already pretty upset with the current congressional map in California, which gives Democrats 43 seats and Republicans 9 seats out of its 52. But there is still room for Democrats to make inroads if they want to. When Gavin Newsom talks about wanting to even the playing field, it seems almost like this map was designed to do exactly that. The most obvious example is the 1st district. What Democrats have done in the new map is essentially connect a lot of that rural area up in Northern California and has connected it down along the very liberal California coast.
The proposed map also targets another Northern California district and several seats in Southern California by making them either safely Democratic or more competitive.
There is a long way to go before this map ends up becoming the map that is actually used in the 2026 elections, and a rather tight time frame. One thing that needs to happen is the state legislature needs to approve the map for a special election that voters would then have the opportunity to vote on whether or not they wanted to implement it. And this process really hasn't been done before. So you can almost certainly expect Republicans are going to try and litigate this either to the state courts in California or potentially even to the federal courts, who could end up ruling in their favor.
We have a couple of other states where we'll pick up seats also.
President Donald Trump has already made it pretty clear he doesn't intend to stop at Texas, and he's already started putting pressure on a number of other states to undergo similar processes. In Missouri and Indiana, there are 2 seats that Republicans are looking to take from Democrats. In Florida, it could be around 3, and potentially in Ohio, somewhere between 2 and 3.
New York, with its 26 congressional seats, could also become a potential flashpoint in the redistricting fight.
This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.
At this point, it's not really clear whether or not there's actually time for Democrats in New York to be able to implement a new map. It's certainly possible for 2028, but in terms of the midterm landscape, I think it's a big question mark. A lot of people have talked about the possibility of this turning into sort of a nuclear arms race. We still have a ways to go before we get there, but one thing is clear. We are headed in a trajectory that we have not really seen in the past. This is the most mid-decade redistricting that we've seen take place in one cycle, and I think it's safe to say that the next Congress is going to look fairly polarized. We're probably only at the tip of the iceberg right now in terms of what that potentially could end up looking like.